Hey, Chris here. Just wanted to talk about The Crow. Went and saw the newest one with Bill Skarsgård in the role of Eric Draven, apparently. I mean, they never refer to him as Eric Draven. He's always just Eric throughout the movie. But I wanted to kind of discuss the Crow series, so to speak. I mean, the original one is a classic, with Brandon Lee in the role of Eric Draven, and fortunately it's one of those that kind of became a classic because he died in the middle of filming when a actual bullet was in a gun for one of the scenes instead of a blank. And the original Crow it's a interesting movie. It's based off a comic book series, which I've never read the comic book series, but reading about it sounds like the original author of the Crow comic books had written the series as a way to get over the tragic death of his fiancée. And from what I have managed to read about the comic, it doesn't sound like the Brandon Lee Crow movie actually follows the comic book series exactly. So it's not a straight adaptation of the series. Because while it is a crow that brings him back to life in the comic books, the crow wants him to get over his fiancée and just take vengeance on people. Whereas the 1994 The Crow movie, it's Eric Draven and his fiancée are brutally murdered by a violent gang, and in order to set things right, he kind of comes back a year later. And the music in it, the setting, like, just it really works all the way around as a movie. And so it's an interesting thing. And then, of course, in 96 they did a sequel called The Crow City of Angels. However, this one managed to follow Vincent Perez, who played a completely different character named Ash Corvin. I remember watching this movie when it came out, but I really don't remember anything about this one at all. It's a completely forgettable movie. But I think part of the reason they picked Vincent Perez in the makeup, he looks sort of similar to Brandon Lee, so maybe they were hoping people would be like, yeah, this is Brandon Lee, you know, he's back. Don't worry, guys, this guy's just as good. And it just, it's a completely forgettable movie. And from what I do remember of it, I don't think I'd recommend watching that one at all. But then, of course, they had a TV series that they had put out, called The Crow Stairway to Heaven with Mark how do you say his name? Mark Dacascos. Most people are probably going to know him from Iron Chef. He played Eric Draven in the TV series. It ran for one season, 22 episodes. It was essentially the same story as the first movie, but they wanted to do it as a TV show. Don't quite get that one. And then they went on to do The Crow Salvation in 2000 with Eric Mabius as Alex Corvus. The biggest name in this one was Kirsten Dunst. Never saw this one. Apparently this one was more about a Crow bringing back Alex Corvus to the world of the living to solve the murder of a young woman that he was wrongly accused of. Interesting. And then in 2005 they released The Crow Wicked Prayer, which starred Edward Furlong, the kid from Terminator 2, as Jimmy Cuervo. I never saw this one, but it has to do with apparently a gang leader on his way to becoming an immortal demon kills an ex-con and his girlfriend, and I'm pretty sure this is probably a straight-to-DVD one, too. So, I can't tell a whole lot on that one. Now, as far as the new Crow with Bill Skarsgård, I've read some synopsis for it where it says that it is just a remake of the original Crow with Brandon Lee, and it's not exactly a remake of the original, outside of the fact that the names of the characters are the same. The issues I had with this one going into it, I didn't have a whole lot of expectations. The trailers made it look like it was a version of what somebody nowadays thinks goth emo is like, and so it doesn't quite it didn't quite capture that feeling of, oh, this is a really dark subject matter we're dealing with, and there's something terrible that goes on with it. The movie does spend an hour from the beginning trying to make you as the audience believe that both Eric and Shelley are truly in love. And Eric's not a musician in this one, or he is a musician. There's nothing that really kind of gives that whole thing. Shelley in this one is supposedly a musician. It's really kind of a weird. It's a weird version where they're trying to push the fact that the power of love overcomes all, and the majority of the movie is just them rehashing that whole thing. It's not a movie that I would say is bad, but it's also not good. I think because of the fact that my expectations were so low and I really didn't expect a whole lot out of it, I was somewhat entertained by the movie itself. The action that occurs within the movie is actually really well done. It's pretty graphic. I was kind of taken aback by some of the deaths that occur in the movie. I think that's the one thing about it that I was like, oh, this is actually kind of really well made. The villain of this one, I don't know. It's kind of a major letdown when it gets to the fight between the two of them. And it kind of leans more towards the villain's supernatural as well as the hero's supernatural. The original Crow movie, you know, you kind of had the villains with the one sister, like the incestuous, like, villain sister knew that the Crow was giving the powers, so to speak, to Eric, and so they wanted to capture the Crow. Whereas this one, it seems more like the power of love is what's giving him his abilities to do everything. It's just, I don't know. It really is such a weird movie that tries to push, like, love as its central theme, and it doesn't just push it at times. It kind of feels like it's trying to hammer it into you. And because of how much time is spent, like, focusing so much on just, like, them, Shelley and Eric, and, you know, what the original Crow does in the first 15 minutes of the movie, this one takes an hour and 20 minutes of a 2-hour long movie to do. And so it's a fascinating look at how two different writers and directors can take approaches to a similar story. But I would honestly say the original Crow does it so much better because it not only has a tighter story, the action's there, direction, but the music is really, it works throughout the movie. The new Crow movie, I was kind of shocked by the lack of music. You know, I think it's part of the reason why I don't feel like Eric Draven in this one is a musician like he was in the original, and they changed some of his background and everything. So would I recommend seeing it? Not in the theater. If you catch it streaming, give it a go. See what you think about it. It's not overall a movie I'd recommend seeing in the theater. But there are people saying the action's terrible, and I think they're wrong in that regards. The action scenes are actually fairly well done. They're enjoyable. It's a completely, if you go on with the mindset, it's a completely different movie from the original Crow. It's its own thing. You know, I do feel like Bill Skarsgård he's got that lean, muscular look to him. And so a lot of movies he's been in lately, he was in Boy Kills World, which was a fantastic action movie. He's just got this lean, muscular look to him, and I think they're kind of like, oh, hey, if we can put him in more of these roles where he's gets to show off his lean look and everything. And fight. It's going to bring the people to the theater, and I think there just needs to be more of a focus on a good storytelling, overall making a good movie. And you know, if you get an actor in there in the right role, and they can pull it off, make the action sequences look realistic enough within the world of that movie, I don't think it's going to matter who's playing the role, what they look like. But it is what it is. So anyway, if you like this kind of content, you want to have more discussions about, you know, various movie series that they've released over the years, leave a comment down below. I really appreciate it if you give this video a like and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye bye.